I was always a client-side media person. I was always very, very clear about being skeptical about the role of advertising. And then here comes a paper presented by, wait for it, an ad agency, double-checked by a company that promotes TV, to say, oh, it turns out that that little Google thing that you're all worried about, that's only 40% of the budget. So from now on, 60% of your money goes to good old 60-second TV ads like the 80s. It was amazing. I mean, I went back to Cape Town for 8-9 years, and I came back to London, and suddenly this was a law, and I just basically said to them, it's not a law. I mean, good science repeats its studies, and there are repeatable, proven studies that show you these laws, and going through a bunch of data just to prove a point is not really the outcome. The London-based industry is a bit of a bubble, and they were all totally inspired by this entire thing, and it became their savior because, at one stage, all these boards were hearing from Google, and they were getting great stories, and all the chief marketing officers and all the advertising agencies were suddenly excluded from this conversation. So I came back to England about 5 years ago, and suddenly there was just this crazy piece of research which said, don't worry, don't think about it, here's a law. Now, right to the next slide, we've got this. Well, hold on. And then here comes a paper presented by, wait for it, an ad agency, double-checked by a company that promotes TV, to say, oh, it turns out that that little Google thing that you're all worried about, that's only 40% of the budget. So from now on, 60% of your money goes to good old 60-second TV ads like the 80s. I've presented that particular piece of work several times, but I've always realized that because of where it comes from, as with everything, you kind of have to question it and see how it fits. And at no single point in time has it ever always been 60-40. It's probably an average overall, but there is always some idiosyncrasy within whatever you're dealing with that means it should be slightly different. So I had complete flat disgust for about 5 minutes because I was critiquing God. Our industry is not particularly hard. There's the books are easy to read. Read them. There's lots of them. The lovely people from ThinkBox, which is the TV research people, were there who were part of this entire thing, and they were talking about the fact that they've got lots of other pieces of research as well, which is great. And my entire point was, we must read these books and read these interesting things. And my biggest hero at the moment is Karen Nelson-Field, and she's put out a fantastic book, which is, with all due respect, incredibly easy to read. So just take the time, read the book, and then there's a bibliography at the back with excellent studies, and read those studies too. And everyone's nodding and agreeing. And the problem with our industry is we haven't had good science. I did actually go to university. I did actually study marketing. I did stats. I hated it. But as I've got older and I keep on realizing, go back to those principles that we learned. They were kind of right. The point is, what you should do is you should think about the short term, and you should think about the long term, and you should have an opinion as to where you're sitting in the market as to what the right balance is.